After 20 hours of negotiating, the culinary union, they have announced a tentative agreement. They are moving towards a 5-year contract with the casinos in Las Vegas. So the 35,000 workers that were, maybe going to go on strike, no. I guess 10,000 hospitality workers at 9 of the properties. Well, look here. This is good news. Also, good news. It appears the SAG-AFTRA strike is also over. They have come to a tentative agreement. Again, strikes work, and the threat of strikes work as well. I'm looking at some of the things. It looks like the main issues have been addressed, and look, the workers came out on the positive side of this. So good for them. Now, on the electoral side, I'm sure everyone paid attention to the big election. A big blue wave. I mean, you kind of got to look at it and see what it is. Big blue wave. And really the death of polling. I think polling should now be, maybe we don't talk about polls ever again, other than just the topics that they're talking about. Now, Rick Santorum, the former Republican vice presidential candidate, senator, congressman from Pennsylvania, he kind of said, well, we Republicans lost because, the very sexy issue. His words, very sexy. Can you imagine very sexy coming out of Santorum's mouth? Anyway, an issue like abortion to him, very sexy. He said that it's evidence that pure democracies are not the way to run a country. Yeah. He said, that's why, thank goodness, that most of the states in this country don't allow you to put everything on the ballot, because pure democracies are not the way to run a country. You gonna let that sink in for a minute? Now remember, this is the Republican former presidential candidate, ultra conservative. This is Rick Santorum saying, we don't want people to decide what happens in a country run by we the people. Can't have that. No. A little sore over the abortion issue because look, Republicans haven't figured out what to do. I think they were as shocked by the overturning of Roe as everyone else was, because I had predicted with Trump's Supreme Court nominees that they would maybe move in a slower kind of, it'd be the death of 1,000 paper cuts. They would allow, certain things, the heartbeat bill, they'd allow, a whole bunch of restrictions until it was legal, but really hard to do. They didn't do that. The dog caught the car and chewed right through the back seat. And Republicans are taking a beating for it. In fact, so much of a beating that Glenn Youngkin is not going to run for president. Because understand, Youngkin had his pathway to the White House all in line, and it's the abortion issue. Because he was going to come out as the more moderate candidate. He was going to come out with the guy with the plan. We're going to have a 15-week abortion ban, which is basically what the extreme was before the Supreme Court overturned Roe. But that was going to be now taken as the moderate position. See how far the goalposts have been moved? But fortunately, the good folks of Virginia threw some Republicans out. Democrats now control both the Senate and the House, which means Youngkin's going to have to figure out how to deal with a real moderation and a Democratic legislature, which means his talking point is now gone. And this got me thinking today, because I look at Ohio, where Ohio went constitutional right to abortion and legalization of pot. And it got me thinking about what my right-wing friends love to claim Democrats do. They always want to take your guns. And yet I've yet to see that, but that's the belief. And when you take rights away from people, people get upset. And it's something Republicans used to understand. It's what they ran on. They're going to take your liberty. They're going to take your freedom. They're going to take your guns. And yet when they took a woman's right to choose away, I don't think they thought that people would be upset. And look, you can be against abortion and still go, No, I don't want government in my life. I don't want government in my bedroom. I certainly don't want a Republican congressman making decisions for my wife, my daughters. No, no. And oddly enough, that seems to be the sentiment that, get out of my life. But here we are, the big blue wave. You got a Democrat elected in Kentucky on the abortion issue and on infrastructure. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff that have come out of this. And it's because, one, I think Biden has done a good job of just doing the work, hasn't gotten involved in all of the debating and all of the mudslinging. But that the idea that getting things done and seeing how crazy the Republicans have been, the fact that they're the do-nothings, well, that's not true. They do a lot. They destroy stuff. I think for some that has been an awakening moment. Now, on the local level, where a lot of these elections were, my school board, for instance, I feared greatly would go crazy, would go toward the maniacs with misery because they had a lot of money. There were signs everywhere, big, giant, massive signs. Those are about $100 and some a piece. So they got money from somewhere. I'm kind of interested to find out where. Is it from the billionaire Jeffrey Yaz and the Maniacs for Misery, Moms for Liberty groups, and all the people who are funding that? We may find out. But I was concerned. And I was concerned about a lot of local school boards and a lot of the things that I feared were going to happen. And fortunately, people saw through it. And this, again, is why elections matter. This is why we do want to have democracy where people have the vote, Rick Santorum. I just find it amazing. But again, here we are. And the message, I think, for Republicans should be, one, you've really screwed yourself over the abortion thing really badly. And you better figure out how to walk that back. But two, all of this dysfunction has made voters a little leery of you. And maybe you should do something. Maybe something positive. Maybe get back into the legislative process and figure out how to make lives better. Because people are upset about inflation. How are you going to help fight inflation? What's your model legislation? What's the messaging you're coming out with? Well, today they showed us what they are going to do going forward. They've heard you, America, and they are listening loud and clear. They got the message. They took the shellacking at the polls, and now they have heard you. And what did they do today? Well, Georgia Republican Mike Collins put forth an effort to defund the office of the vice president. That's right, we're going to defund Kamala Harris, which you go, oh, what? 106 Republicans voted for it. So, now, it clearly didn't pass, but you still had 106 Republicans who voted to defund the vice president's office. This is the kind of nonsense and ridiculous. Oh, if only I were rich and I could afford the FCC fines. This is one of those things where you clearly you didn't get the message, because here we are 9 days away from a potential government shutdown, and Republicans still no plan. So you took a shellacking at the polls. You've been chaotic in the House for for the last several months, and still no idea how to stop the train from derailing in 9 days. Now, of course, they're saying, well, we're going to have this laddered CR, or we're going to. No, because Democrats have already said they're only going to accept a clean funding bill. No gimmicks. No, hey, we're going to shut down, the department that issues, EBT cards and SNAP benefits. We're not going to. It's crazy where we are. And, the hope is that the Republican Party wakes up from the shellacking they took on Tuesday, because their message was kind of extreme, kind of out there. But we'll see. And this is where the amazing part in all this comes. I was so happy to see that most school boards in my state of Pennsylvania didn't lose their minds. That people still believe in public education, still believe that government can and should do things. And for me, that's the message I'm taking. Now, what does this mean for 2024? It means Republicans have a problem on the abortion issue that they don't know how to solve because their rabid base, the extreme of their base won't allow them to walk it back. And also, look, would you believe the Republicans at this point if they then did say, oh, well, we didn't really mean to outlaw Roe completely. We like Youngkin's trying to do, well, the 15-week thing. As I've been saying, Republicans lie a little differently today. You used to have something you could believe in. Now, they just seem like lies.